up of cost recovery, which the airline asks us to do. So when the institutions pay for a service to be rendered, sometimes it takes time before we actually getting the experts to assemble, etc. Takes some period of time. So during that time, the IGF will be sitting on the books like it is a surplus, but not a surplus. We're waiting for assessments of the programs, etc.
Has the board always sought approval from the sector minister before the use of internally generated funds? Yes or no?
We always submit our proceeds through the NCT for approval before we spend it.
We are not challenging them, but what we were trying to explain was that it was as a result of miscommunication, because the NCT collate all tertiary education and agencies' budget, and it is the same body that we submit our monthly returns for onward submission to the Minister of Finance through the Ministry or Minister of Education. And every moment or every year, we have a circular that they central. And we have, for that period, the circular dated 11th March 2014. And the caption reads as follows: Submission of monthly expenditure returns for 2014. And it goes as follows. I'm just paraphrasing that institutions are reminded to submit their monthly returns for 2014, and then we were cautioned that these returns should reach the Ministry of Finance by 15th of every month, which we have done, and then we have sent, and they have given us a format from the Ministry of Finance. We did all that, and then we submitted. So when the auditors came and they raised this particular issue, we tried to explain to them that we had an agency that was collating our returns, and so if they want us to go by what they are directing, we would be happy if they could inform that agency so that then we can revert to that. And so we gave them all this information.
Please, whenever we want the release of the funds to pay the board members, we write to the sector minister. So the sector minister forwards it to the Ministry of Finance after the necessary approvals. We have a copy here. We have all the copies here.
Nevertheless, this is what the auditors find. And I'm sure we shouldn't be laboring this committee by going around the issue. I think if this was appropriate, the Auditor Generals would not have written what they found. And I believe that we should, in all honesty, accept and let's move on. Because, Mr. Chairman, this is 4th September, and they saw this and still wrote this. Have you been able to challenge what they wrote?
4th September, which year?
2014.
2014.
Yes.
That's what I was saying at first, that the Ministry of Finance placed the board members' allowance on a certain level. And so that is what we always pay. Sometime, I think in 2014, later in the year, the Minister of Finance sent a general circular that they are limiting board members' allowance to, I think, 500 cedis per sitting. So the then chairman, our late Professor Champo, went to see the then minister, who said she would take it up with the Minister of Finance. So meanwhile, we should go ahead. So this is the letter, and subsequently, we always pass all the demands through the minister.
Mr. Chairman, I hope that going forward, we will stick to the rates approved by the Minister of Finance. The letter you are showing is a request for a release. It's a release. It's not the approval.
Mr. Chairman, it's to a position by the Auditor General that in their review, the board's collection and utilization of its IGF amounting in excess of 4.6 million for the period 2014 revealed that management has not submitted its records of collection, bank lodgements, and expenditure returns to the ministry. So, Mr. Chairman, my question is that in addition to not seeking approval for the expenditure of these sums, they are also not supplying the Ministry of Finance the details of those collections. And my question is that why is it so?
The NCT coordinates these documents on behalf of all the agencies, all the institutions in the tertiary sector, and submit them to the Ministry of Finance. The auditor's query was that, why didn't we do it directly to the Ministry of Finance? And we explained to them that NCT always does that. And they give us the format, we follow it, they collect and collate it, and submit to the Ministry of Finance. We even suggested to them that if they doubted what we were saying, they should go to NCT to find out. We have subsequently done that. I think that was with regard especially to our ICT infrastructure. What they said was that in case of fire or any then all our documents may burn and we will not have a backup. Subsequently, I had a meeting with the head of our ICT department, and he assures me that this has been rectified. And if we have to put it on, the auditors are currently auditing now, and I'm sure they will make a follow-up to some of these things.
I would like to go by what the sector minister has just advised us to do, but our internal controls, we have internal controls in place. We have the internal auditor who appraises the system and submits reports to the then IRIC, Audit Implementation Report Committee, which is now the Audit Committee. And then the Audit Committee also submits its findings and reports to the board. And so we have all these things in place. I think what currently we are grappling with is, as I earlier on alluded to, is the approval hierarchy that we have. And I think we'll go by what the minister says, that we'll do what they have done, even though we had requested, we had provided details as to how we handle them. But now that we are cautioned, we are told that that is not the proper way to go. We would go by the advice. We had problem with one of our staff who is a driver to the executive secretary. There was an overtime element which he was supposed to benefit. And then what we normally do is we fill controller and accountant general input form, which we forward to them for them to process, and it would be paid through his salary. Unfortunately, this was not being done, and being a junior staff, he thought we were not helping his issue, so he sent it to the board, and then at a board meeting they said that we should take care of it whilst we follow on to the controller and accountant general to collect the distance. So we did that, and so when the auditors came, we showed them the input form, and then they said, and they started paying. Controller started paying, but the auditors were of the opinion that we should write to the controller and accountant general for them to refund what we earlier on paid whilst we were waiting for this process to materialize. So we agreed that we were going to follow to controller for them to refund, but we still haven't got. So we have the input form, copies of it that we sent, and he's now being paid.
For the circus that is going on, I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. So, Chairman, since I became the Minister of Education, if there's one institution a lot of petitions have come against on internal controls, it's the NAB. It's NAB. And maybe we should let the auditors go specifically to do some more work and give us a better report, because I'm not happy that on national TV it looks as if those who are paid to know are not following orders. And then I start hearing surcharges. I'm not sure you can be surcharged and still remain at post. So I'll plead the chair to specifically let the auditors go in again. This is 2014, and they do a specific audit and come so that we take it out specifically, because it's getting too much, and we are not happy. I've actually asked the minister responsible for tertiary education to invite all of them to the office and give better explanation and further. The Internal Audit Agency was even there recently on some of these similar situations. So I don't think that sitting here and having the knowledge that I have, the institutions probably has changed.
We noticed during our interview with the Assistant Information Technology Officer that the board has no IT strategic steering committee, IT security policy, IT strategic plan that support business requirements, and undefined rules and responsibilities. Mr. Chairman, reading 8572 about the recommendation of the committee or the Auditor's General's recommendation. Mr. Chairman, I want to read this one again. We recommended that the management develop an IT governance policy so as to improve the structure, oversight, and management processes, which will ensure the delivery of expected benefits of ICT in controlled way, so as to enhance the long-term sustainable success of the board. Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out from them. This is a problem that was identified. The solution he gave was directed to an officer who is also facing even bigger problem than the problem that was identified. What have they done about it currently?
We were given 3 specific questions from this committee to answer. So most of these questions are coming to me as a surprise. For the audit report, we provided responses. And because only these 3 were directed to us when we were asked to appear, we thought we had sufficiently explained and they had been accepted by the Auditor General. That's why I appear not to be able to answer some of these questions.
Our loan policy is that we have what we call the NAB staff, National Accreditation Board Staff Loan Fund, and there is a committee that handles the loan fund. And what it says is that if you take a loan, it depends on the number of years you intend to pay.
No, my question is, what is your policy? You will say I will pay it within 5 years, or the policy will tell you, direct you as well.
The amount is
the minimum you can take.
The minimum is 1,000 and the maximum is 5,000.
Minimum is 1,000, so the highest one can take is 5,000.
Yes, please.
So multiply 5,000 by 60.
300,000.
That's how much?
300,000.
300,000.
Yes, please.
And if you take a loan, do you have to finish paying before you can take a second loan, or you can?
No, you have to finish paying.
You have to finish paying.
Yes.